Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Season 4 of Stand Up and Stand Out. I'm your hostess with the mostest, the Nikki Green, and we are mixing things up this season. With my new book, Chameleon Mindset, launching, I want to share more of the book's concepts with all of you. I have also been blessed to expand my network throughout the podcast community and to other inspirational speakers. I want to bring more guests on to discuss these important topics together, so we're going to mix it up, no more interview format, and we're going to have some fun. So next up, we're going to do a few fun episodes. Hope you enjoy them. And don't forget to give us a like, a follow on your favorite podcast platform. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 4 of Stand Up and Stand Out. Parte y destacate. We are here with CJ Grace today, a former BBC journalist, the author of the humorous self-help book, Adulterer's Wife, How to Thrive Whether You Stay or Not, which is an international bestseller. And her second book, My Wild Ride, How to Thrive After Breast Cancer and Infidelity, is out now. So now she's divorced, she's US based, and her mission is to help people use adversity for positive change. Welcome, CJ, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
And I thought a great topic, kind of leaning on my new book, Chameleon Mindset, for us to discuss would be emotional intelligence. And that is clearly a part of your DNA.
Oh, yes. And it's something we all need. In some ways, it's more important than IQ. EQ really is what makes you happy in life.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people really discovered this over the pandemic, just to really revisit. It's more than just work and the tactical skills that we're learning, but how we interact as people is really critical. So before we dive into the topic too deeply, why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about yourself, what you're up to, where you're at, and I loved the beautiful chameleon picture you sent me from Hawaii. I am going to print that up and put it on my wall.
Yes, I happen to have gone up close and personal with a real chameleon here in Maui, which is where I'm fortunate enough to be based right now. So my story is that I dealt with a double whammy of discovering my husband's infidelity and then getting breast cancer for the second time, because I carry one of those BRCA genes that Angelina Jolie thought could be a death sentence if you didn't deal with it a particular way. I didn't actually agree with the way she dealt with it herself, but that was me. But anyway, that's my story. And I really do think that adversity can be an amazing catalyst for positive growth.
I agree. And I know it was something early in my career I was challenged with, is that I felt like my emotions were right on the surface all the time. And I was constantly reacting to things and it was stressing me out. And so I wasn't using my adversity and the challenges growing up in a good way. It was constantly like I felt like I was being attacked instead of really better understanding myself and understanding others around me.
Yes, I mean, you have to avoid becoming reactive so that you step back. Why am I feeling this way? Why do I really want to react this way? And then you think about it, and out comes a better decision or a better type of behavior than just reacting. And it's very easy to get into that trap of just reacting. I think the thing is that we can't control what happens outside. We can't always control how people treat us, but we can control our behavior towards it. I think that's the key.
Yeah, absolutely. And you went through some very difficult, both personal struggles, physical struggles, and that could have very easily just been a negative spiral, which kept you down. And I'm just amazed at your story. What were some of the things that helped you during that time in order to get through those adverse moments?
Well, one of the things that you actually write in your book about not being a victim, I really did not want to play that victim role. And with breast cancer and infidelity combined, it's something that is easy to get into. I wanted to be the victor rather than the victim. And obviously it's easier said than done, but there was a 6-part program that I developed. I didn't think, I'm going to do a 6-part program and then I'll be fine. It just happened to be what I did. And I can go into that briefly if you would like.
Please do.
So the first thing I did was to cultivate confidants and mentors with my best interests at heart, in whom I could vent my deepest, to whom I could vent my deepest, darkest feelings. People who would keep that confidential, but would also be able to offer me valuable advice, good advice. Not the same thing as just a regular friend. These are a little bit different. And I wanted to have both male and female confidants, because you get very different views from one sex to the other. And I did also, the second thing I did was to cultivate friends, new friends, old friends. I'd let go of a lot of friends in the marriage with my husband. Most of the people we knew were either connected with the business we shared or joint friends. Now, you definitely do not want to vent your personal problems, your marital problems, with people that you're working with, not professional. So I basically rebuilt my circle of friends. The third thing I did, which is very much me because I was brought up on a diet of Monty Python, steeped in that kind of humor, was laughter therapy. I did things that brought me up rather than made me feel down. I stopped watching the news. I'm a former BBC journalist. I always used to want to keep up to date with world affairs. Stop watching the news. It's always bad news, because good news is boring. And so, I watch comedies and not depressing dramas. That was very, very important. To me, laughter therapy, keeping yourself laughing and seeing humor, is more important than positive thinking, because, you should never feel bad about feeling bad. But if you laugh, it can really take your mind off things, and it stops you taking yourself too seriously. It makes things different. It makes things lighter. It makes things fun. So laughter therapy was really key. And then the next thing that I did was I wanted to love my body and become beautiful, because, infidelity, an unfaithful husband, makes you feel very ugly, I have to say. But I don't mean, becoming a supermodel. That's never going to happen. It's more internal beauty, taking care of sleeping enough, eating well, and exercising. I found that, for example, outdoor exercise was the best antidepressant. Walking in nature, doing exercises you enjoy, and exercising even with friends, all of that is definitely really important. And then the next thing was finding my passion. And for me, my passion was writing, getting back to my roots as a journalist, and also humor, and combining those two in sort of humorist writing. But for some people, it could be, music, art, or volunteering for a cause that you really believe in. And that is really important. It gives you something to get up for every morning if you have a passion in life. And then the next thing was probably the hardest, and that is trying to live in the present, because you can churn what's happened. Oh, if I would have done it this way, then maybe everything would have been better, and all that. Well, the past is gone. It's over and done with. And you can worry about the future. Oh, what's going to happen? Am I going to be able to make enough money? Will I ever find myself another relationship? All of that stuff. Well, the future is fiction. It doesn't exist either. The only thing you have is the now, what's in front of you. So if you're not enjoying the now, if you're not living in the present, you're not really living. And so many people don't live in the present, even if they aren't dealing with adversities. So living in the present, trying to enjoy what's right in front of your nose is absolutely key. And for me, as I said, it's a work in progress. It's not necessarily easy to get out of that pattern of thinking about the past and worrying about the future, but it's actually not that helpful to do that.
It isn't, and I love this, and I liked when the two different sides of community. One is the community that can help you talk through your issues, especially like you said at a deeper level, and new community, because sometimes people that have known you a long time keep you in those same cycles, right? They keep you going back to the person they knew or the person they want you to be, and then also the giving back part of community, which I do think is so important. I'm constantly doing volunteer work because I know one, that I got to where I am because people gave to me when I was younger and the times that I struggled. And it just really makes you get out of yourself a little bit too, I think, and realize not as a comparison like, oh, other people have it worse, but more just you have an ability to continue to give and help with all sorts of skills that you might have. So I liked both of those. And in my first book, I have a chapter called The Laugh Heard Round the Office. And so laughter is definitely one of the ways I have also dealt with many, just difficult situations, because like you said, it just kind of takes the stress away, not just of you, but of people around you. If you're at work or, in a personal relationship and you're constantly on edge and about to yell back at people aren't going to be as honest with you. And I don't think they'll be as open. Whereas if you're sort of like, okay, well, we'll figure this out together. Right? Yeah, it's so much better. So I love those philosophies. Well, those are great. I think those are all really important steps. And each one of those kind of underlies a bit of emotional intelligence, I think, too, of one, self-awareness. How are you feeling? What do you need before you're worrying about sort of the external factors and tomorrow and the future, right? What are the things that we, need ourselves in order to move forward with difficult situations?
Right, because the mantra of my first book, Adulterous Wife, How to Thrive Whether You Stay or Not, was that the best revenge is to get past the need for it. You don't need revenge. You need to get past it. You don't need to put your life energy into planning revenge. You need to put your life energy into moving forward and finding a way to make your life better than it was before. And that is so important. And having gone through cancer twice, it's even more important because cancer teaches you, or at least it taught me, that life is short. I have an expiration date. And if not now, when? If I don't do what I want now, when am I going to do it? You can always put things off till tomorrow, but for many people, tomorrow never comes.
That's so true. And the dedication for my new book, Chameleon Mindset, is actually to my grandmother who passed away this year. But she actually survived 4 bouts of cancer. And every single one, just seeing her strength and her, just will to keep going on and find the positive moments. I can just see how that happened in your life and how it makes you healthier. I think it's having that mindset of let's just take advantage of every day. And yes, this happened to me, but this isn't forever, right? I'm going to make a better today, live in the present, and hopefully enjoy more days in the future.
That's so true. Absolutely.
Well, we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll continue back after this break. Hi, everyone. Nikki Green here, and I am here to tell you that Chameleon Mindset is on its way. If you'd like to learn more about the Chameleon Mindset book, the online course that'll help keep you motivated and doing some of the fun Karate Kid exercises, go to chameleonmindsetbook.com, and you'll find more information about pre-sales, bonuses, and so much more. Alrighty. And we're back. Well, we're jumping back in with CJ Grace, and we're going to talk about some deeper topics on emotional intelligence here. As I talked about in episode 33 of this season's podcast, I shared that I'm having some health issues. I've been going, back and forth for exams and things. And even in previous times, having to have a hysterectomy, lumpectomy on my breast, it really changes your view of self-care and the importance of it, but also balancing some of the advice that you get and the way you want to take care of your body. And I know, CJ, having cancer twice, you have some deep thoughts on this, and I'd love to hear more about your experience and anything you'd like to share with the audience.
Well, my mantra as a very anal BBC journalist type person was information is power. That was my mantra for getting through cancer. I did a lot of research. And in my second book, My Wild Ride, How to Thrive After Breast Cancer and Infidelity, yes, it's a comedy book with cartoons, but it is extremely well researched with a very long bibliography. You know, I reference 70 books and over 100 studies, almost 70 books and over 100 studies, because I really wanted to know what was going on. I wanted to be able to weigh up the pros and cons. So I negotiated a different chemo cocktail, for example, than what the oncologist wanted to give me. I turned down adriamycin and I had carboplatin instead because I felt it was better for the kind of cancer I had and also less toxic. It's still toxic, but wasn't quite as toxic as the other chemical, which they call the red devil for true reasons. You know, they're good reasons why they call it that. And then,
dun, dun, dun. I feel like we...
And then, you know, I was advised to have prophylactic mastectomies, double mastectomies, and I turned that down too. A lot of my friends thought I was completely nuts to do that, but I did my research and I was not happy with what I saw about breast implants. Breast implant illness is very real. Nicole DeRuda has a Facebook support group, Breast Implant Illness and Healing. To date, she has over 170,000 members on that site. And some women are choosing to go flat after mastectomies in order to avoid breast reconstruction, but I just didn't want to go there. So I didn't have mastectomies at all. I went for lumpectomies. And the other thing was that I did a lot of reading for my book, as I said, nearly 70 books. That I read for my Wild Ride to do the research. And one book that I read that really resonated with me because it was so compelling was called Dressed to Kill, the link between breast cancer and bras. And in it, the authors present very convincing evidence that the link between bras and breast cancer is stronger than that between smoking and lung cancer. And sadly, you know, the authors thought that they would be welcomed with open arms by the cancer community, but they were not. Instead, the mainstream cancer community points to just one study that was done in 2014 that shows no link between bras and breast cancer, but that study had no control group and only looked at postmenopausal women in whom the effects were much weaker. But there are numerous studies that have shown a very conclusive link between bras and breast cancer. So that was something that I took to heart. I threw away my bra. Didn't do it in the 60s. I've done it now. So that was one of the things. And I will say, you know, when I'm not a doctor, I could never tell somebody else how they should treat their cancer. And it is a crapshoot. I mean, the statistics for early stage non-metastatic breast cancer, 5-year survival statistics are very good. I mean, close to 100%, but that being said, cancer is a crapshoot. But, you know, the fact that I wasn't going to be giving other people unsolicited advice didn't stop plenty of other people besieging me with unsolicited advice about what I should do with my cancer. And people got all fire and brimstone over it, almost like, you know, oh, you'll go to hell if you don't do what I say, you'll die. You know, my hippy-dippy friends said, oh, the chemo and radiation you're doing is toxic and doesn't work. And then, you know, my straight-laced friends would say, oh, the alternative cancer treatments you're doing, because I did plenty of alternative treatments too. Oh, that's all pure quackery, you know. And then somebody else would tell me, oh, if I don't give up dairy, my cancer will come back. I mean, I'm a Brit. I have to have milk in my tea. I'm not going to go with oaty or some, you know, soy thing. No, it's got to be milk. So I didn't listen to that. And then, of course, the other one that I got was, and I won't mention the name of the person who told me this, they sort of shouted at me saying, oh, you got cancer because you're too tense. You need to relax. And we all know that shouting at somebody is a very good way to
chill them out.
Oh, yes. It really works well. But, you know, so anyone going through cancer is going to have to deal with unsolicited advice. And you just have to go with your gut, do what feels right for you. And whatever people tell you, you don't have to listen to it. Some of it will be good advice. Some of it won't be good advice. And you just have to go with your gut and trust your doctors. You have to find doctors that you trust. And if you don't like your doctor, fire your doctor and find another doctor that gives you advice you feel comfortable with. So that's the thing. It's information. For me, information is power. Knowing the pros and cons of what you do. Some people may not agree with me. They might want to, the last thing I want to do is to second guess my doctors. I want to do what they say. I don't want to have to, read hundreds of books. For me, yeah. I did want to read hundreds of books, and that's the way I got through it.
Yeah. And it's so important because, there's a lot that goes into any type of, serious illness. And, one thing I said is that, improvement is not like linear. It's not like all of a sudden every day you feel better. It was, one day I feel good, the next day I feel really bad. And then maybe I feel a little bit better, but mostly bad. And that's not just physically, emotionally. It was also doing that self-discovery a bit to be like, what is this really pulling up inside me? Why do I feel different? Especially, I think, when you have a surgery that is connected to like your feminine energy, like, having breast cancer or my hysterectomy. It really does affect you, I think, in a different way because you identify yourself with some of those attributes. And so, when those things are attacked, basically by an illness, you feel attacked as a part of your identity. So I think emotional regulation and really staying in touch with how you're feeling, but like you said, finding that community of who can help you. And sometimes maybe your partner isn't that person. Your partner is also probably struggling with the loss of you, right? Even just knowing that you're sick. Some people aren't good nurses, basically.
That's right. And I do write about that because, even if you haven't got an unfaithful partner who's somewhere else, for example, when I was going through chemo, my husband was in Europe. I was doing chemo in California. My husband was in Europe with his girlfriend. And there was I in a clinic doing chemo. He had offered me a part-time wife position. I'd be perfectly happy spending 2 or 3 days a week with you and the rest of, 2 or 3 days a week with her, he said, and the rest of the week I could spend with you. But even though I thought about that and considered it even for a few months, actually several months, because I didn't want my whole world to collapse, when I was going through chemo on my own, it made it very clear that a part-time husband would not work for me. So there are all of those kinds of things. And then there are people who bombard you with advice that you need to stay positive. I remember one person in particular who was, she would exhibit bucket loads of negativity herself when she was going through difficult times, was telling me how I had to stay positive or my cancer would come back. But, you should never feel bad about feeling bad. It's something that is inevitable when you're going through tough times, particularly illness. And that's why I use humor rather than trying to force a positive attitude, because you can't force it. There are actually studies out there that go both ways. Some studies say a positive attitude really helps cancer recovery, but there are also studies out there that show that a positive attitude has nothing to do with cancer recovery, doesn't significantly change the outcome. So, we all want to stay positive, but it's not easy to manufacture. So
I think that's a really important.
That's what I did, but never ever feel bad about feeling bad. I just want to emphasize that it's just not right that people should make you feel bad about feeling bad.
Yeah. And I think I've noticed that more and more, and hopefully again with some, soul searching and some emotional intelligence work, people understand the difference that it's not that emotions are good or bad. It's what you're feeling. And it's about recognizing those and what they mean to you, how you can best interact with other people and what their emotions are, especially in important relationships in your community, with your friends, with your family. It's going to that deeper level to just acknowledge, understand, right? And then figure out what's next. And I love that laughter is a part of your medicine because it's definitely a part of mine.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, time flies when we're having fun. Well, I can imagine us having so many more laughs as we hopefully vacation in Hawaii together and go check out some more chameleons.
And go and find the chameleons.
I'm so excited. Well, thank you so much for joining. In the show notes, we'll have more information to check out CJ's books and learn more about her. And I'm sure you'll see her on lots more podcasts and collaborations with us soon. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you on the next episode.